Hello, welcome to number 11 of Learning Programming with JavaScript. In this, we're going to learn about date, time, and timer events. So to begin here, we're just going to start with our exact same DOM content loaded event. And I'm going to show you how to output the current date time to the text content. So we're going to begin by writing our document.body.text content to output the text. And then we need to create a new date class that contains the current date time. Then we're going to wrap this in parentheses so that we can call the toLocal string. This will convert it to our local date and as a string format. Now if you run this, you can see there you go. It outputs the current time. So you've made a very simple clock. So now I'm going to show you how to use the timer event function setTimeout to update this. So we're going to create a function called update, and then we're going to move our document.body.text content code up there, and then we're going to call update from the DOM content loaded event. And then finally here, we're going to call the setTimeout function on update and run it every second, which is 1,000 milliseconds. So that setTimeout will register an event for update 1,000 milliseconds from now, which is a second. And then that'll call update again, which will register another setTimeout event, creating a loop. So that'll call update roughly every second. Now we can see this. If we go and run it, you can now see the clock updates to the current time up to the second. Congratulations, you've made a real-time clock. Now I'm going to show you how to make a counter of sorts that counts up from the current second. We're going to create a variable called start time. It's going to be our base starting point, and it's set it to date.now, which is the current UTC time in milliseconds. And then in the update function, we'll create a new variable called time passed, and we'll set this to the current date.now minus start time. So this will give us the number of milliseconds that have passed since the start time. The current milliseconds minus the starting milliseconds. Then we're going to output this as a string by doing time passed plus milliseconds have passed. And we're going to change our setTimeout to update 100 times a second instead of every second, because we want millisecond accuracy. So now if you run this, you can see it counts up the milliseconds very quickly. But humans aren't very good at reading time in milliseconds, so we're going to convert this to seconds. So like I said before, 1,000 milliseconds is a second, so if you do it divided by 1,000, that will give us seconds. And then if you run this, you'll see there you go. There's your counter that counts up in seconds. Congratulations, you've learned about date, time, and timer events. This opens the doors to a whole bunch of things like animation and real-time updating. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked this Learning Programming with JavaScript tutorial.